Hey everyone, Genome Gaming here, coming at you with the next episode of my Marvel Strike Force Beginners and Newbie series. So today's video, I want to talk about an event that's coming up this evening. Yes, that's right, Doc Ock is coming around again for unlocks, and I want to issue this video as a warning to newer players who are thinking about spending money, and let's talk a little bit about Doc Ock, and also just a precursor. Tonight I will be recording a video of me unlocking Doc Ock. I don't have him on my main account yet, but I should be able to get him tonight pretty easily, and I'm going to try to do it with minimal amounts of characters. So the characters you see in front of you right now are where my X-Force are. And I may jack up Damo just a little bit more to get her health up there a little bit more, but basically I'm going to try to do the bare minimum to get the 5-star unlock to show people where they need to be, because it costs a lot of money to, crank these characters up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So Doc Ock tonight. Yeah, it's gonna be rough for a lot of people, and one thing you need to get used to as a new player, or especially as a free-to-play player, is waiting. Because you're gonna miss a lot of characters, especially if you're first starting out, not only on their first release, maybe on their second time around too. It just takes a long time to build your characters up, right, and build your money up and resources. It just takes time, so don't feel bad if you miss Doc Ock this time around, okay? It's not a big deal. He's not going to break the game for you, especially as a newer player, because you won't be able to level him that much anyway and crank him up. But I will say this, he's a good character, probably the third best standalone legendary in the game, especially for the newer player. I'd probably put Black Bolt and Ebony Maw in front of him for PvE content. Debatable too. He probably actually is better than Black Bolt in like really late game PvE content, but for the new player and intermediate game player, I'd say Black Bolt's probably a little bit better for you. He's just more of a battering ram. But another reason I wanted to make this video is because right now, as they always do for legendary hits, Scopes has released some offers that may tempt the unwary buyer or new player. So let's talk about them a little bit. Okay, here's the first one. It's the X-Force orb, and it's $20, and you have basically guaranteed 36 shards of an X-Force character with 6 of these orbs, right? For $20. Seems like a crap deal. Yes, you have a chance to get better ones, but there's very little control of who you get in this orb. And really, if it was just 3 characters shown, it'd be much better. You can barely see Negasonic back there. She's hiding behind the orb, though. Because Domino is basically completely random how you get her through Blitz orbs. I think it's 10% chance, or yeah, 10% chance. It just takes time. You'll get it eventually, but it just takes time, so you can't really direct farm her. X23 is a War Store thing. There's a ton of important War Store characters. See my video from about 2 weeks ago if you want some ideas of how to get going on War, right, at least with your currency. So she's a hard farm, so it'd be great to get shards of her, but you can't guarantee it. It's 1 out of 5. So, and then it's like 1 out of 5, and then you got, do you get 6? Do you get 9 shards? Do you get, 24? You never get 180. I've never seen it yet, but not to say you can't. But anyway, and Negasonic is the extremely late game farm. I'll get into that a little bit later, but I don't find this is a good deal, because you might get Deadpool and Cable in there as well. That really dilutes the pool of valuable characters, so I definitely don't recommend this. It's very high pricing. There's some more, though. It's not just that one. Now you got a Cable one down there. This one's actually a little more reasonable, just because, especially if you get 100 shards. But I mean, the odds of that are kind of low. 1 in 3, obviously. I don't like those odds too much. I guess the standard person's going to get 75 shards of them. Is that really good? I don't know. Mystic 1-9 is where Cable is. Not that hard to get to, especially for the late early game player and the mid game player. You should be cruising up to that, and you can start farming him pretty easily. Plus, he shows up in the raid store too. So, I don't know. There's worse deals in this, but I'm not crazy about it. If it gave you 100 guaranteed shards, I'd say probably go for it if you're really wanting to get going on X-Force. But I'll talk a little more about that too here in just a moment. So that could be worse. This is ridiculously trash, right? This is straight garbage, like my drill sergeant used to say. 50 shards of Domino for $30. Domino is basically a useless character. She's not good for anything except for unlocking Doc Ock and, I guess completing the X-Force team and keeping Deadpool immortal as long as she stays alive, but she always dies right away. So It's a good war team, but she's not used for anything in this game. This is ridiculously high pricing. If they gave 200 shards, maybe I'd give it a blessing, just because it would save you lots of randomness, but no, don't go for this. You'll get her eventually. And really, once again, the idea of this video is to teach people patience, right? Don't be throwing this much cash at a legendary unlock that will come around again in a couple months, and really, he's not going to run the tables for you by himself. Characters like Black Bolt can run the tables. I'm talking more early game and mid game here for you by themselves. Throw Black Bolt in raid, throw a character that can feed him energy, and then watch the dominoes fall. It's disgusting how good he is. So, don't recommend this. Don't buy this, for goodness sake, don't buy it. I think there's one more in here as well. Let's see. Oh, I thought there was. Maybe it was just those 3. Yeah, okay, it was just those 3. So, in short, don't buy the domino offer for sure. That's the most for sure one. The next most for sure one is don't buy the multi-character orb with X-Force in it for $20. It's just way too random. And then the least egregious of those, and it's actually not too bad a deal if you get the 75 or 100 shards, is the cable offer. But in all honesty, I would not go for Doc Ock that hard if I was a newer player. Save your cash for something better if you're going to spend, or you're farming. So let's talk a little bit about why I say don't go for it. First off, you're going to be using the X-Force team, right, to unlock them. So you're going to level them up a little bit, but this team's not going to do anything for you in this game except Blitz, of course, which is every team, and a good war offense team, a really good war offense team. I don't think the newer players should be focusing on that too much. They should need a broader roster, right, than more than just one high-powered team for one game mode that you get to use once every 3 days, right? It's not a good return on investment, if you ask me. This team is not gonna. They might clear a raid node on middle territory, raids like U6 and stuff, but they're not going to do it in U7, I don't think. They've got nearly enough sustain. There's no defense other than a little bit of the flex from cable, and of course X-23 is their own defensive machine, but that's another story. So they're not going to do much for you. Same thing goes with Sinister 6. Doc Ock's team, neither iteration of that is any good in PvE content. They're really not. There's no sustain there. There's very little defense. Rhino's not really a tank, a defensive tank. He's more of an offensive tank, like think Juggernaut, but worse, I'd say. And just none of them work that well. They work much, much, much better in the war environment. OG on defense, OG Sinister 6, and the new chargeable Sinister 6 on offense in war. So once again, you're talking about just another war team. So that's why I do not place Doc Ock that highly right now for the new player to be going for, at least not to be spending money on. But you do want to plan for him ahead of time because he is a really good legendary. In fact, he's probably, like I said, the second or third best legendary standalone in the game right now. So there we go. Let's just talk real quick where you can get these guys. Once again, Cable, I think, is in Mystic 1-9, so he's at the end of the first Mystic node. Or Mystic Lane, excuse me, in the Mystic campaign. So you'll get to him eventually. It takes a little while to build up a decent Mystic roster, but you'll get to him, and then it's a pretty easy farm. Deadpool's the arena store, so you can farm him at leisure, but it's way down the list. That's what I'm talking about. His only real skill, because he's not a good character, is unlocking Doc Ock, if you get down to it, and once again, completing the team. Negasonic is in, I think it's 1-9 as well, of Do More. Let me check that. Yep, 1-9 as well. So she's late game. So if you are even mid-game player, you're going to have a hard time getting to that node. It's not easy to get there because it makes you use specific teams, and you might not have those characters leveled. So it could take you a while to get her going, right? And she's one of the better standalone characters on the team, but not something you see too often, to be honest with you, outside of it. X-23's War Store, an excellent pick to choose from because she serves double duty, especially for the newer players. She's an excellent standalone character, and of course she unlocks Doc Ock too, and also a vital component of the war team, so I guess there's 3 things there, right? So she's not a bad way to spend your credits, even though I still recommend that you get a couple other characters before her in the War Store. For newest players is like Minerva and Sif. Minerva mostly if you're trying to get into DD2, which you should on the new player path, and then either Carnage or Sinister might come before X-23 depending on what you're going for in the game. So, but she's a good character, not a bad place to put resources. And Domino, you're gonna get her eventually. Just blitz and you will get her eventually. It sucks not being able to control how you get her, but that's how it is now, and you just got to do it. So yeah, that's the idea here. And let's see. Let's take a quick look at Doc Ock real fast. I don't have him in lock, so it's going to look kind of funky. Oh, I actually pulled 4 reds on him. I forgot about that. Yeah, most of his kit has to deal with the Sinister Six, but he does some really cool things on his own with healing on deflex, and he's a good defensive character. He's a pretty decent offensive character, too. And he just brings a lot to a team, but like I said, I don't think you need to worry about it too much, especially not to spend the money that we're seeing in the offer section. No, don't do that. So hopefully this has been a little bit instructive and helpful to those on the fence about wanting to get Doc Ock right now. Trust me, he'll be back again in like 3 months or so, maybe 4 months, depending on how they do the rotation nowadays. So you'll get a chance at him eventually. He's important, but I don't think he's game-breaking for the new or mid-game player, and yeah, that's basically it on him. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Were you planning on going for him, or are you going to be waiting? Get used to waiting. It's the most valuable thing you can do in this game sometimes. You gotta save those resources. Yeah, so let me know if this video is helpful at all, and until this evening, this is Genome, out.